And we're live.
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Spill the Kopi with CuddlyBossLady, which is me. And today we're going to talk about water polo, which is one of the 7 disciplines that is covered by Malaysian swimming, or MAS. I still call it ASUM in my head. And so it is one of the longest, is it one of the longest running sports, well, aquatic sports, the early days, from diving and swimming? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, let's start with the most basic of questions. What is water polo? Maybe Joseph, do you want to start us off?
Can, not a problem. Good afternoon, all. Simple question: what is water polo? At least to me, it's a game played by a team consisting of 13 players. Okay, and you have 7 of them in the water, and the objective of the whole game is just to put the ball inside to your opponent's goalpost. That's all. Looks easy, sounds easy, but actually it takes years and years of preparation, as Han and Yee Chuin may actually confer to that.
I mean, what are the rules basically? I mean, obviously, your basic is get your ball into the net. I mean, of the opposing side, not your own net. Obviously, we wouldn't want that.
Okay.
So, what would some of the basic rules that people should remember? I mean, how many players do you have per team? How many?
Okay.
You know.
You generally have 13 players to a team because it's a very, what you might call a fast-paced game. There's a lot of substitution going on. So what happens is basically this is definitely a game that requires a person to be able to swim, definitely, able to tread water, because the water depth has to be at least 2 meters, 2.1 meters to be exact, right?
That's
So
quite a lot.
yeah, so there's no standing, definitely. So we have to be able to tread water the entire time, right? So like I mentioned earlier on, 7 are in the water. Okay, it starts off over a period of generally 4 quarters, and each quarter is about 8 minutes of actual play in that matter. But then it varies from competition to competition, supporting equipment and all these things. Sometimes they play real time, sometimes they play actual time, sometimes they play just running time in that case, right? But it goes back.
Sorry.
It
No,
goes back
carry
to
on.
the main objective is just to score more goals and concede as little goal as possible. Currently in Malaysia, it's played by from schoolboys right down to adults, which is my age.
Mature adults.
Yeah.
Does land polo count? No.
No.
I can't see the horses doing the, you know. That would be most entertaining. I mean, are you allowed? I mean, you mentioned you can like swap players. Is there a time limit or the number of times per quarter that you are allowed to swap players, or only at certain points are you allowed to swap players?
The game has evolved quite a fair bit. The game has evolved from the days when I was playing, when I was a teenager, put it this way, where you can even use 2 hands to block a shot. But now you can only use 1 hand to block a shot, right? So back to your question, how is the substitution done? One of the latest FINA ruling is basically in terms of flying substitution. That means during the game, you can actually change players in the middle of the game, which was not done previously before. This is actually to increase the fluidity of the game, to increase the pace of the game, right? So rules have always been every 2 years, there's been some upgrade to the rules to make it more attractive to the spectators.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, it would be much faster pace if you can keep swapping.
No, there was never horses in the water.
Only in strength, right? Water polo players are strong.
Han, I disagree. You pause when you get whacked.
Okay.
That's when you pause.
No, horses. The question
Horses.
was no more horses.
We're talking about land polo.
Okay.
You know, when you tell people you today, we had polo practice, they look at you like, what?
You went for horse riding in the water.
Horse riding. I didn't know you could ride horses. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and then like mentioned, it was like we play in like 2.1 meter depth where we can't stand. So I don't think the horses will be able to be in the water anyway.
You see them.
Oh,
swimming.
and we don't have pucks.
And you don't have the sticks.
Yeah, we don't have sticks.
It'd be slightly violent, a lot more violent water polo game if you had like. Well, there's underwater hockey, right? And
Yeah.
there's I don't know if they play with sticks. We must find out.
Underwater hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do play with sticks.
A shorter one. A shorter one.
Shorter.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like fun. That could be another episode. Let's return to water polo. So obviously, I mean, historically, how long has water polo been around in Malaysia? I mean, it was around when I was young, which is quite some time ago. Do you guys know how long water polo has
Not
been?
exactly.
Unfortunately, due to age, I have to take this answer. Right? I was coached by this gentleman called Johnny Ting. And I think in the fraternity of water polo, quite a fair bit of people know who Johnny Ting is. Right? He is maybe now in his early 60s, and he used to play in what they call as SEAP games, if I'm not mistaken, SEAP, right? So I believe the water polo games go back to as early as maybe the 50s, 60s, very much possible, right?
But
And
even
I
my
believe that
grandfather played.
Serious?
Yeah, he's about 70. Yep, 70 plus. So should be even earlier than that.
So
In
what
Penang?
backwards, 70 plus, 50 years?
About
50s,
50s or
around.
60s,
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So I guess my answer is pretty much around there, during the 50s and during the emergence of the SEAP games during that time, it was being played. And amazingly, during those... Sorry?
Sorry, you go ahead first.
It seems that during those days, Malaysia was always playing second fiddle to Singapore, always coming back with the silver and all these things. But then of late, recently, I think the other countries have invested time, money, and other resources, and they have been getting good results. I think the last SEA Games was a good example where Indonesia took away the gold medal from the Singaporeans for
the first time in 50
how?
years.
Yeah. So you can imagine. So it's pretty much level playing game. What you put in is what you take out, Han, you were saying something. Sorry.
I think water polo started when even all the way back to the British colony, if I'm not wrong. Meaning
Dad played.
that they are the one. Yeah, they are the ones that brought it in.
I mean, my dad
I
said
think since
they
then.
used to play in those days they played in the sea.
Yep.
Because there's beach water polo, and Chinese Swimming Club in Penang, they had the platform and they would play a little bit
Yep.
as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures, but yeah, it's been quite a while. Which brings us to obviously women's water polo, which is a much more recent addition. So if YC, as a pioneer, maybe you could give us a little bit about history and how it started and how things are progressing.
Okay. Hi everyone. About women's water polo, right? I cannot really tell you how many years it has. I know it started in Malaysia, but I could tell that I can count from the years I'm playing. That means I started it, but it's not in KL or in any state. It is in Inti College itself. And then I have one Singaporean friend who studied here in Inti College also. So she played water polo in Singapore, and then she was wondering why there's nobody playing in Malaysia, especially women. So she started with us in Inti College just to play for fun. And then I think she hosted one very successful water polo competition in Inti College itself. And I think that's when the women's water polo started, and then because she get to know Johnny Ting after that, And then she proposed to Johnny, think, why don't I, can I bring the girls to train in KL? So that's how it started. Yeah. So it is from a Singaporean friend.
Well, that's amazing.
Mm.
Because with a lot of things, it just takes at least one person to get the ball
Yes,
rolling,
correct.
and to and basically ask. I said, hey, why not this? And girls can play just
True,
as well,
true.
if not
Yes.
better,
Hmm.
than
And then yeah,
boys.
that's how it started. We started
When was
everything.
this, Eugene?
My college time. Let me count.
What's the date? I think that's only like 2 years ago, right?
Hey,
I
your
think it's
college time
about.
compared to when my college time is very much shorter. Okay.
I think it's about 17 years or 18 years ago.
Early 2000s, the early
Mm.
2000s.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because it's also a SEA Games event, if I remember correctly, also quite recently.
We had our first SEA Games women's event in year 2011. First
Okay,
time ever in SEA Games, that was in Palembang, Indonesia.
that's very, very recent. I mean,
Yes,
compared
very
to that.
recent. And then I think we only prepared for about less than 1 year to, and then we participated in that event. So, but basically that year we only had 3 teams, which is Singapore, Indonesia, and just Malaysia. That's all.
The original three.
Mm.
But now I think the most recent SEA Games, there are more countries participating. If I remember, did they have it this year? I mean, not this year, last year. Did they have women's water?
2019. Oh, women,
19.
right? Yes, they had,
Yeah.
but then also 3 teams only: Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines. Indonesia and Malaysia did not take part.
Oh, that's unusual. I mean, normally Indonesia would always field
I
teams
know.
from both sides.
I think the reason is because they confirmed the event a bit like quite late, like quite near to the SEA Games date. So and I think Malaysia and Indonesia, no one is preparing for it, until when they say they confirm the event, so the country decided not to send.
Oh, so it's
Yes,
more of a last minute kind of.
right, Han? Correct, Han?
Yep.
Okay.
So what do you think are the reasons why women's water polo hasn't quite progressed as quickly as perhaps you guys would like? Um,
Han, what is your view on this?
Han?
Actually, I don't think it's just women's. If you think about it, like men's water polo has been there since, like we mentioned, in the 50s. But we are only up to now at that level, which I wouldn't say that it's very satisfactory, in the sense that I feel that we don't have a proper structure, a proper, I would say like infrastructure for water polo where more people can partake. So if you can count I think with two hands you can count the number of teams you have in Malaysia, even for men's, not needing to say women's. I just think that it's not enough exposure for the sport. That's why it's very hard to pick up. So when normally if a kid goes to the pool, and you ask the parent, you want to let your kid join swimming or water polo, the answer is definitely swimming, because swimming has already proven results at international level. So I think
It's the
people are
maturity
more,
of the sport, right? I think
yeah,
they
correct.
feel that, right. Women's water polo, I think a lot of times perhaps parents are not as keen for their girls to participate in, it's the same like with women's rugby or something
Yeah.
else, that they're not always as keen to encourage their girls to participate in something when they think it's a rough sport, or
Yeah, exactly.
what are which brings us to, I mean, what are the basic skills that a water polo player would require?
Normally,
Any of you?
actually, it's pretty much swimming, your leg work, your passing skills. That's what I feel that are the most basic things that any player would need. Like Joseph mentioned, that actually it takes quite a while for people to actually master them, or even get to a level where they are able to play a game properly, a water polo game properly. Of course, we can just allow them to just go in and have fun, but to reach a certain level that you can
We're
compete
losing some of your
competitively.
audio.
Sorry,
Yeah.
maybe this
If
should be
you-
better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
that's a bit better.
to reach that level, maybe it'll take a bit longer. And then, so the thing is, I think there are not many younger women that are joining. So they join at probably the age of 17 and 18 after they have finished their swimming careers, or they think they
Retired.
can't progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that sense, probably that is why also that we can't progress for women. Whereas you can start seeing younger boys joining from the age of 10, 11, 12, all the way up. So they have time to progress and mature as a player. So you can see that women's water polo is not progressing as fast because of this reason as well.
Do you think, I mean, when we were younger, when I was still swimming, we used to, water polo drills, and, especially when we did have off season, we got to play water polo, even though we were obviously not very good at it, but it was for fun. Like during the off season, we would introduce different things into our usual training, and water polo drills were very much a part of our training because it was a very good way to, your core is stronger, and among other things. So, do you find that that's less common to have coaches that incorporate it in their swimming sessions, so that the progression into whatever, if they want to diversify into water polo is less, well, it's a much harder transition if you've never had the exposure, you've never had the
I think that's one of the reasons. I'm not quite sure about the other clubs at the moment, but I think that's how I got into contact with water polo, because the coach that was coaching me swimming at the time used to play, I think for fun, or probably even a few state competitions, national competitions. So that's actually how I transitioned from a swimmer to water polo player as well. But I'm actually not quite sure about the other clubs, if they they actually allow players to have fun with water polo. But then I think, again, the other problem is there are so many clubs that are like so-called private clubs, where there are a lot of rules and regulations in the pool itself. So a lot of them are public or club members, and probably a ball flying around in the pool won't be such a nice
I
scene
can understand
at those
that.
clubs. Yeah.
And
again, I think the other thing is
very
we don't
lively.
have enough. Probably now it's better, but I think it's only recently that we have more competitions for those beginners, where it's not as competitive or as pressured. Yeah, for
so
them
they
to
can
start
just have the
enjoying.
exposure to the game and what it's like playing. I mean, there are different events, right, within water polo itself. It's not necessarily the 13. Did I say 13? 11?
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
13. But there are different, I'll call them categories, I guess, events within water polo itself.
You can call them a subset of water polo in that case.
What are they? I mean, just for those who are not aware.
I think generally the game evolves in the main official water polo format, right? It more or less goes around the same rules nearly, right? But then to spice it up, sometimes they have developmental games like 3 versus 3. It's just like basketball. I can't recall what's the full team of basketball, but sometimes they have 3-on-3 and all these things as well. So for water polo, you have 3-on-3, 4-on-4. There's no fixed format in that case. Smaller pool, lesser people, so there'll be more action in that, right? So we've also got events like beach water polo, which I think Malaysia, Han, have you ever done one before?
I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
I don't think so, right? The
I thought we
closest
were
country.
planning to do Philippines.
Yeah, I think Singapore also may have had it before. So the closest we'll come to is maybe our neighboring countries, but it's the same thing. It's just that water polo played in the sea. To me, the best place to do it is actually Penang's Chinese swimming club, because the sea is just beside it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with the jellyfish.
Yeah, but I believe that the Penangites have actually done that before, but unofficially among themselves.
Mm.
We used to play way back when there were less jellyfish, because CSC right behind you, you could go
Yeah.
to the beach, and you would, so during off season we had, it's like team building, I guess you would say. You do kayaking, and then you'd swim out, and then sometimes they'll bring the ball, and then you play around in the sea, and so you actually build a lot of water confidence, because you're not
Right.
pressured. Oh, this is training now, you have to train, right? So you're playing, like you were saying, that some of the newer events that the kids could get the exposure to the water polo game without feeling like, I have trained hard and I've got this, and too much going on. So they just learn to love the game for the game, for what it is and what they learn from it. So yeah, it'd be kind of fun.
In fact, just to add on to your original question to Yee Chuin, actually, women's water polo started way back, but there was just no official team. I still remember, I'm sure Penang Chinese Club also had the girls playing a bit around, but nothing official. In fact, in KL also, there's the same thing. I'm not sure whether I think Lini also tried it out during those days, but I believe that it was during the swimming coaches era, they believed that water polo will do you more good in terms of team building, motivation, something to break the norm, but then at the same time maintain fitness type of workout.
Yes,
right?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, so coaches nowadays, they may have different thoughts in terms of developing the wrong sets of muscles and all these things. So it goes back to the swimming coaches approach in terms of how to train their players up. Or their
I think unless they themselves have had the same exposure while they were training, it's not like we had it, like I was saying to you, it's not like I can name all the rules or what goes on, right? But some of the basic drills, you still, especially for open water swimmers, a lot of the skills that you would incorporate in there actually really helps us. Treading water, the most basic, I think, for a water polo player is very much a fundamental part of water safety in general. And we get to use that. But if they themselves don't get they didn't get the same exposure to play, or it's part of their training, may not necessarily, they won't bring it down to their own swim teams, right? Because if they've never been exposed to it, they're not going to necessarily introduce it in that sense. But it is actually a really good cross-training workout, I always say. And it's fun. It kind of breaks up your usual training sessions from time to time. I think these days you have less off-season compared to what we used to have. We used to have a very clear off-season where you could, do all these different things, compared to today. I think one of the questions was also, what are the typical gear that you would have in water polo? Obviously costumes, because you should really be dressed when you're in the water.
Perhaps I'll take that on. Actually, one of my friends stated before, told him I'm going for my workout. Where's your gear? I'm wearing it right now. So it can be as simple as just your own swimming trunk, right? But then I think as things progress along, definitely you need your water polo caps. Okay, you definitely need the equipments on the pool. So personally, there's very minimal thing, right? And yes, you can make do with some accessories. Okay, like for example, you're talking about your goggles, your flippers, your paddles, and all these things. But it's more of a personal thing. But the most basic thing you need is just your apparel. That's all. And bring
Yeah,
your own shampoo and your own water.
Yes,
Correct,
please.
Han?
no sharing. Oh wow.
Kayak polo.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that. It'd be like absolute chaos.
It looks violent actually. Actually, water polo is already a violent game. That looks even more violent because you're equipping them with weapons.
Weapon.
Yeah, man. How do you fit all that in a pool? Like,
There was only one official game, right? For that, I'm not quite sure.
in Malaysia.
No, I mean as in overseas, or is it a normal thing? I've
I
only
have
seen
no
it a few times.
I won't be surprised if they choose to do it in UMMC. They got a lake beside there, and they got a canoes.
True.
I'm not sure.
Not sure
I
in
go
Malaysia,
swimming.
but I've seen students in Singapore school playing it. They actually train for it in a swimming pool. Yes. So their goalpost is not like the water polo goalpost. It's more like netball kind of goalpost, but it just slightly bigger.
How do they?
They need to throw it. They need to like canoe, and then they need to grab the ball, and then they just need to throw it out. And then there will be a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper will be holding the
Using a paddle.
the pedal and block or something like that. That's what I saw. Yeah, but it's quite interesting, you know.
It's something different, right?
It's very different.
I mean, that one, like, if it's part of beach games, would be kind of cool.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it's
Asian games.
Asian games.
Yeah, cool.
Ooh. Learn something new every day.
Well,
Cool.
to be fair, sometimes I think Asian games is a bit funny in the sense that I think SEA Games is a good example. You see some sports that comes in just because it's medal potential for the home country. Yeah. So
I think that's quite common across.
Yeah, I still try to figure out my head. Break dance is actually an event in SEA Games. I mean, no disrespect to them, but it's just that sometimes I feel things is getting a bit more interesting.
I can't imagine. Well, there's chess too, and bridge.
Fair enough. I mean, chess and bridge have been around for quite some time, but yeah, you have a point there too.
Yeah, it's I mean, bring us back to some of the skills that we're talking about within water polo. Does someone have to be a very strong swimmer in order to? I mean, you don't have to be. Do you have to be a like champion swimmer or a competitive swimmer in order to start playing water polo?
Han, you have every right to answer that question, Han.
Being an
never a swimmer.
yourself.
Yee Chuin has never been a swimmer.
I would say it helps in certain ways because in the end you still need to be able to get up and down the pool fast enough to be able to play the game at a higher level. But if you are talking about state level, club level, I think in the end it's more technical than that. I think there's so much more than swimming in water polo. Like I mentioned just now, you will definitely need the basics to be able to get up and down. You need to be fast enough to go up and down within the 30 seconds, which is one playing cycle, means one possession. Okay, but then there are so much other things that we have to take into consideration, like your tactics and probably your ball handling skills. I would feel that game awareness and ball handling skills come much more important than probably swimming.
I mean, you need just like you mentioned, the basic skill there, right? Because also you have to have your head up
Yeah,
Quite
and then being a
lot.
fast swimmer doesn't make you a great player.
Okay. I mean, like I said, you know, when you're playing water polo, you would have your head up for pretty much most of
The game.
the game.
Yep.
So you would need to have obviously stronger back, neck muscles, and your core, and strong legs, very strong legs, because it's not just you're not just treading water and then you wait for the ball to come to you, and you know, things like that. You'd have to be pretty fluid, moving around. So, what are some of the training that you would give to, well, new players, if you like, whether it's in water or out of water?
Yee
Besides
quiet.
putting them in a kayak and then
Let's
In terms of-
boss. Yeah. Go
I
ahead, bro.
think that first and foremost is personal fitness. Like you mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of swimming and all these things, and like what Han mentioned, it gives you a head start, but it doesn't win you the race because there are a lot of other factors, right? Personally, it will be your own sets of skills, ball handling, passing, right? Then as a team, you got to have the tactical and the strategic aspect, right? Yeah, I've seen some great swimmers who progress to great water polo players. Like Leah during our times, you remember Hiding Lee, Hiding Kyong? They
they were
progressed
very
to
strong
national.
swimmers.
They were
So they were
very strong.
national swimmers as
In
well.
fact, later on, people like Danny Chu, very strong swimmer. So it gave them the head start, and they had the talent, the hard work to continue on. I think in KL currently right now, we also have a few of them. In the national team, like for example, Jackson Q, you got Sean Tan. These are from, I won't say they are swimmer based, but they train swimming and water polo at the same time, right? So it definitely gives them an advantage, right? Because the pool of play is approximately about 30 meters for men, for women it's about 20 meters. So imagine it's like, it's like basketball, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? So
Really
8
tired.
minutes, 8 minutes, 30 seconds. We're talking about at least about 16 times up and down over a 30-meter pool. So imagine the distance which is covered. And don't forget that during the game itself, there's a lot of manhandling of each other, wrestling and pushing and shoving and all these things. So one thing about this game is a very demanding physical sport, which requires both your physical and mental strength as well. And the talent that comes in will actually differentiate between I would say a normal player and a great player in that case.
Maybe we can take 1 or 2 questions from the audience. Oh, Lini. Hi, Lini. Is there a time to train and select Masters Water Polo for the World Championships Masters in Fukuoka in 2022? We're being very subtle here, right?
Every team can qualify.
I'm not sure how it
Are there
works.
qualifications?
I think that for Masters, they tend to be a little bit more relaxed. There are age groups, because I remember the last one they had in Korea, they even had up to 70 plus. So I'm not entirely sure. We should find out. It'd be kind of fun.
Sure.
I understand they have to be
generally-
35 and above, or I'm not sure. Don't quote me. Don't start
Because-
playing more people. I have no idea.
A good example is swimming masters. I believe there's many age group, right? But water polo, I don't think they are very tight in terms of the age group because you need to form a team. A team of about 13 players is hard to get. 13 from 30 to 35, 13 from and so on and so forth.
But maybe it's only hard to get in Malaysia, not so much overseas.
Even overseas, I believe that it's easier for them, but it's still a challenge to get a group of people around that age group in that case.
Can you
right?
imagine 70 to 70 plus? I'm not sure they can.
I'll answer you that in 20 years' time.
You're still young, lah, Joseph.
But coming back to Lini's question, I believe if that it goes back to what Han mentioned earlier on. Wow, 25 and above. Okay, like what Han mentioned earlier on, a lot of administrator who's going to take the lead, who's going to oversee the whole situation, who's going to do all the what you might call as formalities. So I think right now the Malaysian coaches' challenge is to get players back into the pool and follow the the post-pandemic situation. That would be our main priority right now. But I don't see a reason why not, if we can somebody group of people together, get the right authorization, and just go there and compete.
I think it'll be fun. I mean, it's a great way to keep fit. I like to use it in my training with for my whatever age group they're in. So I actually went to have a look at the FINA Masters rules. According to the FINA Masters rules, the age of the youngest member of the team determines the age group of the team.
Makes sense.
There are no restrictions. There are no restrictions on the age. I put a link. Someone will put a link up in a minute. Yeah. So you can see FINA Master Rules all the way to Waterpolo on page 12. And it's 7 players, 7 aside.
7 aside.
Yeah. So they start from age 30 and above. So there are no restrictions on the ages of players older than the youngest player on the team. So I guess you could have mixed age groups, right? So 30 plus, 35 plus, 40 plus, 45, and so on. And the number of...
Oh, so it's every 5 years.
Yeah.
5-year gap.
Yeah. So, well, all the rules are here. And you can have mixed teams. So you can have men and women play in the same team. I suppose that's one way you can get around the whole... you may not get enough players to play. So that'd be kind of fun.
Yep.
So let me get that correct. I think it starts from 30 onwards.
Yes.
And it goes on 5 years interval. Yes. And the youngest member would determine the age group they are in.
Yes. And men and women can play on the same team.
Cool.
That'd be kind of fun. I mean, that would be a good way to, you were saying you're trying to draw people back into the pool or towards the sport. So you may not necessarily be able to have a full, trying to get 13 players, for example, and across the board. So you can kind of have a little fun with this.
True.
We used to play on a Saturday morning, but unfortunately we have no one at the moment. Okay. So the next question, Saiful. Hey, Saiful. How do you maintain a strong egg beater kick? Which is very good, especially for breaststrokers. I think. I don't know. I don't play. I just swim only.
Let's hear from the other coach this time. What would you do, Han? I'll steal secrets from you.
I think it comes down firstly to technique, especially for people that are just newly joined, because it's called an egg beater. It should always your leg movement should always, resemble an egg beater. Yeah. So I think a lot of people get the technique wrong. Hence, no matter how hard they try, it becomes very difficult for them, and probably they will put in much more effort than that. So I think first and foremost is getting the right kicks. Yep. As shown in the screen. So a lot of people actually just tend to kick outwards and not turn their legs in that manner. Then after that, it's all pretty much training with weight training, and maybe some coaches only do. Pardon?
You have to do a lot of squats.
Yeah, I was going to say that a lot of coaches only emphasize on in-water skills, where they do a lot water training, but then miss out on the fact that there are a lot of bursting muscles, meaning you need some fast twitch muscle. So we do squats, but we do probably mostly half squats. We do a lot of squat jumps and probably like jump onto a bench. I forgot what the term for it. Yeah.
Box jumps. The box jumps?
Box jumps. Yeah, a lot of box jumps, a lot of half squats, a lot of running on stairs. All this will help build the fast twitch muscles that you need to have good egg beater, I would say.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, that as well. Weight training.
They look so... Yeah, anyway.
Torturous.
We won't go... Yes. It looks interesting, shall we say. I mean, we used to have to, in our training, you would do it, and then you have the bricks. Nowadays,
Yep.
bricks lah, right? You have to carry the bricks, and then you have your hands above water. That was never fun.
Now we use water bottle. Those
5
can't
gallon
bring
water
breaks.
bottle.
Yeah, 5 gallon. 5 to 10 gallon. I think that's bigger than 5, right? Those office use one, dispenser one.
Yeah. Those days.
Yeah.
Actually, those are wonderful equipments. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very useful, right?
Yeah. Especially for the coach, especially if they're angry.
It's like, you all are not listening to me. Well, this is what's going to happen to you.
But I agree with Han. I think that amazingly, some people are just gifted with natural egg beater kick. Some people will take a long time to teach them how to do a proper egg beater kick. So first, to get the technique correct, because it becomes habitual, and to change it, it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's much harder than learning it right away.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
So-
I noticed, because it is one of the skills that I think also in life saving you would use. Treading water properly, how you don't lean forward, don't lean backwards. Right, getting that
Posture.
and posture correct, and then you would need to learn how to balance. Right, you have to. I mean,
Sculling.
for especially sculling, that you would need to do because you always have your. I thought I know what I'm talking about, but for water training part, open water stuff, yes, but I play Waterpolo lah. But you would have that balance, and it's quite. If you've never been taught that, it's quite, not say unnatural, but it's not instinctive to someone, because most people would kick with both legs, they think like breaststroke, right? You would kick in that sense, which is very tiring.
I think that breaststroke kicks and egg beater kick is slightly different though, because breaststroke kick you tend to kick out instead of kick in.
It's more of some folks are taught water training in the beginning with kind of doing the breaststroke motion. So instinctively, I think, I don't know, because obviously we were exposed to water from a very, very young age. So I don't really remember. I just know that we do this. But so a lot of them will kick with 2 legs as opposed to doing. I used to say it's like riding a bicycle when you're relaxed. You have that pedal kind of thing. So yeah, it's not easy to do that whole. It's a lot of work, and learning. The whole. Well, that's another way you can introduce that in your training to do Russian dancing. That would be kind of fun.
Actually, our version is the duck walk.
Oh man, I remember those.
The duck walk is
we
our
haven't
version.
done it for a while.
Yeah.
That has given me an idea. Never mind. Okay. Oh, my swimmer's gonna be like, oh no, Auntie Liz got another idea. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the most fundamental skills, right? In water in general, let alone doing something like that.
I would agree with Han that treading water and breaststroke kick is actually 2 different things. Unfortunately, the easiest and fastest way to teach treading water is like breaststroke kick, except that it's 1 leg at a time, which is a totally wrong thing to do. That where it becomes a habit forming is hard to change. Yee Chuin and myself, we have tried so many times with some of our students. Not like that one, not like that one. You have to do certain.
I have to
Yeah.
even go under the water and then hold their legs and do
Hold their
it.
legs. Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
no, it's wrong. You can't. My brain cannot compute.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough actually. Not only for the players, but even for the coaches. Sometimes you just feel like,
Because you're trying to unlearn what you have learned, right? And
unlearning
if
is the tough part. Yeah.
yeah,
Unlearn to
and
relearn is very, very difficult.
and no matter what age you are, I think that's a very human trait. Trying to unlearn whatever habits that you have. I mean, yeah. So, yeah. Good gosh, I can't imagine. No, that's kayaking. That'd be kind of fun, actually. We should do that to resolve any disputes within a team. Just take them and do kayak. Do you call it water polo kayak? Do you kayak water polo? I mean,
Canoe
Kayak.
polo.
Canoe polo, yeah.
Yeah.
Canoe polo. In fact, coming back to Lini's question, actually got me thinking about the masters group. And to me, I think one of the best test water situation is to do a local version first. Then you can get the people together. And once you get the people together, then you can head towards the World's Masters in that case. Which currently with the pandemic going on, we are not too sure whether that will be still on
Yeah,
schedule or
When
not.
happen, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be
So-
a great idea to have masters water polo in probably during our training, especially for the younger kids. If you are growing up, you are trying to have those under 12, I think it'd be a fun thing. It becomes more like a family sport where more people participate. Instead of going to the pool and seeing the same 20 faces, maybe you get more older people, more fun.
it's
Yeah,
actually
maybe
quite
that's how
fun.
we're gonna create. Yeah, maybe
In fact,
that's one of
yeah.
the way we can build under 12 especially.
So rather than
Agree.
they play with like 17, 18-year-olds, you play with the lao lao,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, correct. No, but I think that's what's gonna make them interested.
I think it's fun. I mean, like with masters swimming, sometimes you train or you compete with the older folks, right? The seniors, the vintage ones, and it's kind of fun. I mean, they also see a progression of like if you love the sport, you still have a journey. You can still play. I mean, obviously not in the same capacity as if you were doing, the competitive, like hardcore competitive things, but there's still a progression. You can still play the sport that you love, or you can still swim, in whatever capacity that you have. And kids like that, and it's fun. And then if they beat their dad or their, auntie, uncle, they're like, wow, you beat auntie, uncle, yay. It's kind of like a fun thing that you were saying. It's a good, because then they get the exposure without the pressure of anything else, like, oh, okay, we're competing in that sounded very wrong. Okay.
Can you tell that to my kids? They are every day beating me up.
You just love it. You just love it.
Yeah.
But then if I were your kids, I would do the same. You torture them every day.
Yeah, this is the way they get their own back, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Han, I never tortured you before, Han.
Yep. I'm just encouraging them.
So coming back, I think to continue on with what Han mentioned just now, it's good to get people from all age group, because I think competition, there's quite a fair bit. I mean, before the pandemic, there were quite a lot of competition. During my days itself, there was only 3 competition: national age group, MSSM, and Malaysian Open. But now there's easily, you can choose competition to go to, right? So I think Masters, there was one which was done in Ipoh. I find that actually very interesting, where even Johnny went in and played, right? We got some people from Singapore also jumped in and played, right? I think that is basically the missing link to get people to come back to the sports.
It's got to be fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's. I mean, I think with a lot of ex-competitive athletes, they're like, yeah, I remember all the training, and I remember, as you don't necessarily have to do that again from a master's level. You have fun, and then you go and eat afterwards.
Yeah.
Food
I
is,
agree.
food is very important.
You go and eat without any guilt conscious because you worked out already.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yes. Make waterpolo fun again. True, agree. And you know what's the best part of the open competition was that we didn't really know the score. I think KL we won the goal, but the thing is we don't even know how we won the goal. So it doesn't matter. It's just about playing. It's just about jumping in and just playing. I think that should be the way.
You learn
Right.
as you go, right?
Yeah. Even in fact, that is being done at the junior level with flipper ball, if I'm not mistaken. It's being done in Singapore. I think soon to go
What
into
is that?
Malaysia. Flipper ball is basically a very basic junior water polo where a group of kids just jump together. You don't have to tread water. It's just standing. It's just throwing the balls around. It's more fun. And these are targeted to children between, I would say, 6 to 10 years old. So
Where they
this is
may not necessarily have the core strength and the strength to be able to do all of that,
It's
right?
basically to get them excited about water polo to go in towards full competitive in that case, right? So anyway,
Is KL doing that?
we would like
Yeah.
to. We are doing a smaller version. We do have some small kids coming in for training. So unfortunately, when you got about, we are blessed recently in the past few years, we've got about 30, 40 boys coming for training. So we don't have enough coaches to handle all that thing. So we try to adjust accordingly. So maybe we can look towards considering that later on. My biggest fear right now is after the pandemic, that our number of players coming for training will drop quite tremendously.
Yeah.
It may even impact the game, right?
Yep.
And that's another discussion another
But
day.
actually, I think it won't be that bad. Selangor almost full among back. Probably you were short of 1 or 2. But
that's good.
like everyone's almost back.
It'll take time to adjust. So Lindsay has a question of how do you develop the hand-eye coordination and ball handling skills, and what would you suggest for a beginner? I think, YC, why don't you start us off on that? No pressure lah, YC. Relax only. Okay, don't worry.
I would say everything comes back to training. Yeah, of course, as a beginner, right, you cannot even hold the ball properly. So probably you can start on the land, and then you could just throw it to the wall, and then try to catch it back. Of course, you don't throw it hard so that it won't bounce back like really hard. So just try a soft one so that you can just catch it back. That's on the land. So in the water, right, you have to know how to tread the water first, and then you will need a partner to do a passing with you, just to and fro, and just be soft, don't have to like throw hard. So just to the hands and where the person is stay. And I don't know, it's just practice, you just have to practice and feel.
Would you recommend, I mean, from a beginner's point of view, starting with the softball, because obviously water polo balls are quite, if you have ever been hit by one, it's quite fun. Yeah. Would you recommend, like, for beginners, would they start with the softer, I mean, obviously that one's more bouncy, or would you just say to start with?
It's just with the normal ball, the standard one, just the standard one. The softness means the passing strength. You don't have to go hard.
Right.
Just go
unless
soft
some issues to work out, and obviously you're trying to
you can do it during shooting. That's a different. So yeah, just accuracy, just based on accuracy, and just throw properly.
Yes, try not to hit yourself back when you throw the ball against the wall. I mean, we refuel ourselves first, and then we start. Food is very important to all athletes. and especially those in the aquatic world, we tend to like our food. We talk about food training. Every session we talk about food training. Which we do. I mean, some of the as a beginner, I mean, for myself as well, and I think some of the comments that we've had is, how do you catch the ball? I mean, the hardest part is, I mean, you can catch the ball like that, but you can't do that in game or anything like that. But as a beginner, learning to how do you catch the ball as it comes towards you? Because that's also a skill that's not necessarily instinctive. Because most people would, if a ball comes towards you, you'd use both hands, right? I mean, how would you teach someone that?
Maybe I'll take that on.
Okay.
I
Because I
think
mean, that's what I
there's two
struggle
things.
with quite a lot.
Yeah, there's two things which is basically into play. One is catching the ball. The other thing is into play is catching the ball while you're being stable with your legs. Right? So you need to have these two combined up. Then you'll be able to catch the ball very, what you might call as effectively, right? So first and foremost, for the hand part, like what Yee Chuin mentioned earlier on, we do a lot of drills with the juniors in terms of just taking the ball, push the wall, catch, push, catch, push, catch, push. That will take care of the hand-eye coordination actually. But then the problem of hand-eye coordination is a major, I would say, impacted when you're not even treading water properly. Correct? So it's like you can't even stand properly. How are you going to take and catch the ball? Right?
Yeah, because you have to hold yourself. I mean, you have to have one hand balance, right? And then
Yeah. Actually, in fact, some of our water treading situation is basically both hands are up, okay, and you're just treading water. You're not supposed to be moving around like hell, okay. So it's you have to have a very stable ground, right? So need to work on two things. One is hand-eye coordination with the ball on hand on the wall. Secondly is your legs. You got to be able to stay strong in water. So once you do that, I think that would be the basic. Because then there's later on things like jumping up where you can even see your belly button and catching the ball and doing shooting and all those things. Those are later part of the game.
I mean, like I
Right.
said, the basic fundamental thing that you would need to do is the ability to stay up. And
Yeah. Stay
you know,
stable in terms of treading water, hand-eye coordination with the ball and hand on the wall.
so I mean, yeah, because that's one of the
Yeah.
Have our-
Food
Yeah.
again.
oh, it make people hungry only lah. Every time at the end of every in every show we end up being like, okay, we're all hungry already. Have to go and like find food or cake or food is important. Linny's asking,
I like this
Do you-
question.
do you have to cut your nails really short? Because I remember the polo players used to come out with all the scratch marks from games.
I
they- I
would-
mean, Do they
I would say
check
this
nails
much. Yeah.
for in FINA? They do? Because I know in open water, FINA rules, open water, they actually check your nails before
Huh?
you go in. Yeah, because you have to have short nails.
Interesting.
I have
Same.
no, because you try not to stab people where you're at.
In FINA, for water polo, they won't check your nails. Okay? It's how would I say it? It's like you are expected to have short nails. And if
So
let's
it's
just say there's a complaint against you, you're out of the game. Okay? Some of the smaller competitions will make them all line up, then check the nails. But in FINA main sanctioned games, SEA Games, do they do that, Han? Yee Chuin?
They check it.
They check in SEA Games.
I think
Palembang one they check, I remember.
So by right FINA, they are not supposed to check. I mean, it depends on the referee. Some of the referee want to do that. But by right, if you're caught with your nails long, you're out of the game. That's all.
they check. They normally check in the first game, if I'm not wrong. Everybody's first game. Just to make sure.
Fair comment.
okay.
In fact, I would say this. My nails, this is my nails, and it's like ever since I started playing water polo, every time my nails become long, I feel uneasy. I just cut it off.
Because
Even
it's
if I'm not playing,
ingrained
it's
in your hair.
ingrained, it's instinctive.
Yeah.
Right? So I will always have very short nails.
Ladies' fingers. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of tough for ladies though. They are apart from their crowning glory. I think their nails are important too.
Yeah, but mine are all short now because, well, you spend so much time in water that
Good
they
job,
would
well
like,
done, Han. Good job, well
yeah.
done.
And in open water, competitive open water, they check your nails. So you're like, yeah, okay, just cut it short, keep it short. And yeah, no longer can have the pretty nails that you would normally like to have. I mean, I'm not saying you two guys have, but if you want to, I'm not gonna say no. You guys carry on. You be you. Yeah. So okay. So they don't check it in terms of like it's part of the whole thing, but it's assumed that everyone will have short nails anyway, right? That's kind of cool. Later on, what we'll do is we'll share the link to the master's rules that applies to all the different disciplines. Because at every level, we have been talking about masters of all the different disciplines. So I think we'll share that link later afterwards. Yeah, that one on the screen now. Everything's explained because I say master's rules are obviously a little different from your normal FINA competitive regulations, I guess you would say. Let me see what else was there. Okay, so if someone would like to try out water polo, where or what would you suggest they do? I mean, whatever the age group, boy, girl, right? Whichever. Where would you suggest they start?
I think competitively, currently in Klang Valley, there are a few clubs that actually do training for water polo, but for state level, currently right now, in fact, in schools, I believe schools are also doing that as well. I know about KL schools. I'm not that familiar with Selangor schools. KL VI is doing that, right? And I believe Chempaka is doing that too. And Bandar Tun Razak also have their own team, right? So you can start off at MGS.
I think, yeah. Is it?
Oh,
I think KL.
MBS, you
MBS.
mean?
MBS or MGS?
MBS.
Methodist Girls School. I'm like, okay, I want to go there. So
That's my old school, K. In Penang.
Okay. So school level, you can start off with that. And once you progress, that would be basically for beginners lah. Then if you want to go to intermediate as well as to more of mastery in that case, you can go down to those center of excellence for state training. Like for example, for KL would be Bandar Tun Razak. I think for Selangor would be Pade in that case, if I'm not mistaken.
Aquatic Daro is that. Yep.
Yeah. So you have these places to go to. I mean, you can get that contact details to how to join these clubs later on from Dia as well. Right?
Yeah, we'll get that posted. And Penang and Sarawak, I think they also have their wait, I'm trying to think. Penang, I'm not sure because
Sarawak, you can contact Coach Woon. I think he's doing that there. Right? For Ipoh, you can contact Coach David Hyong. Right? Penang, you can contact Coach Thomas. Right? So
they actually have
Milan as well.
Instagram and Facebook for Penang Water Polo and Perak Water Polo. If I remember correctly.
I think Facebook is amazing. I think internet is amazing. You can learn so many things, get so much contact. Malacca and Negeri Sembilan also have their own teams in that case. So that would literally cover central, northern. I don't think we have anything in the East Coast. East Malaysia, you got Sarawak for sure lah.
I'm not sure about Sabah. You have to.
Sabah used to have a team.
They did have a team. Normally, it's good to just hook up with their aquatics team and from there find out more information.
Okay, well, we can, because Sabah Association is on Facebook and Instagram, and I think Penang Waterpolo is there. Sabah Association is on there. I mean, if anyone in Sabah or is going to be in Sabah or is interested in water polo, then obviously, you can contact the association and they'll probably be able to point you in the right direction, hopefully.
I think if you really want to excel in the game, it's always good to choose somewhere near your home, closest as possible, because it's a long distance. It's a really long term relationship building thingy, because you got to invest time towards it, right?
Yes.
So it's like 4 times a week, training. It's like gotta get somewhere near home. Make it easy. Yeah. So for the girls, it's a different story, because there's even smaller amount of ladies training. I think you can actually contact Yee Chuin if you don't mind. So from there, Yee Chuin can help at least guide on towards which particular state. I think one thing about the girls team is awesome is because they are very sharing and caring community, right? Doesn't matter where they train, as long as they're training.
I mean,
I would say the same for the boys, though.
I think
welcome.
just find out. I mean, where your local pool or wherever it is, you can just ask. I mean, some of the clubs or teams that are already training there, someone will know someone, or start your own.
Yeah, and I believe there's some clubs like what's the name of the club in Kijali already? DSA. I think DSA is also doing water polo. I saw
that. Yeah.
Yeah, in Penang also, I think Thomas is also starting from can't remember the name of the complex.
Spice
Center as well. So I think you can just Google it up and can get details there as well.
It's all on social media. I mean, you can have a look, and they would definitely be there. We'll share some of the links. I think, if I'm not wrong, Thomas, who is not on today, he had a listing of the different places you could train water polo at, or where water polo is available. That link, I will have to get that again and share that at a later point. Because I know Thomas sent it to me the last time, but I can't remember what it was. So we'll post it up for you, and at least you have some directory, if you like, from there. And then also the different states have their own, or just ask at your local club and find out more. And, any of the ex-players who are watching, maybe, hey, start another one. Start your own too. Ask people, hey, why not? Just get a bunch of people play together, or there might be people who are interested of learning, how to play, and why not?
It's also good in a sense that always start with an end in mind. To me, competition is definitely an end in mind. A chance to meet up and play. I think for the beginners, you can have some friendly competition. Colleges actually have been very helpful in the past few years.
Like inter club,
College, Inti College, they've been doing very well in terms of promoting the game. And if given the chance, I would like to really thank them for that, right? So you can train towards these competitions, right? The two main ones are TAR and Inti that I know of. Would that be correct, Yee Chuin? Any other competitions?
There was one in Inti in Nilai, right? 2 years ago. Yeah, I remember that. I think it just takes someone to start something, and just like in like women's water polo. I mean, all it took is someone's like, why not? How come there's no one doing this? Or let's have a friendly game. Hey, your players want to play with my players, or under 12s want to play with the old people, or the lalang, as we like to call
Not so young people.
Why not? I think it'd be kind of fun. It's a good way to get, I'll say revive, but kickstart, the interest again. And food, water polo. Yeah, food, always, we always eat a lot, right? Han is a chef, so the food has carried on all the way through. Linny is asking, is it possible to have Masters water polo during Malaysia Masters if it's not cancelled?
When is Malaysian Masters? Maybe perhaps you can enlighten me a little bit.
Malaysia Masters was...
Why aren't you training for it?
Me?
Who are you
I am.
asking? Han, you asking
Joseph.
me
Yeah.
for swimming?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Swim 50 lah.
50
Just swim
meters.
50 only.
I
50
was
meters.
trained as a water polo player, and I will continue to train as a water polo player. I
And
never
water
swim.
polo players also go and swim Masters, okay?
30 meters, you swim up down 2 times, you reach 150 meter lap already.
Okay
That
lah.
one I can do a lot of funny things which slow down the opponent. You cannot do that in swimming. I can't
You see Joseph reaching across the lane.
grab something and pull that down. I'm the type of street racer. I'm not those Formula One racer.
Malaysia Masters is usually slated the first weekend of December. And I understand that at the moment it's still on the slate to be held. It should be in Ipoh.
Then why not?
Why not? Right?
Why not?
Realistically, my suggestion would be this: to put in a Masters water polo in Masters will be maybe a very challenging situation to get a few teams to be up.
Well,
right?
It could be like a demo. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a full.
What you
a lot
need,
of-
what you need is basically two teams. Two teams. Do a friendly 2 teams and do a 2-game situation. Correct or not? Team A, Team B. Let the people choose. You want to go to Team A, you want to go to Team B. Correct?
Ballot.
Let them choose. Don't have to even ballot. Right? So get two you need 2 person to lead it. Right? You either join, take for example, Han or myself, right? You want to join Han's team or to join my team? We definitely going to have a game, right? So we go in there and play just a friendly game and all these things.
It'd be a great way
Right.
to expose those
Yeah.
who've never really played before, right? So it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. So just jump in and play. Because my concern is that if you have an actual Masters competition where you send out an invite and asking for team to come in, it'll be very challenging.
But it'd be kind of fun. I mean, then after you swim Masters, you can go and play this game, right, Joseph?
Because I'm sure some of the parents whose kids are swimming, some of them may have actually played water polo before. So since they're already there, might as well just join Team A or Team B.
Can. Clara, are you listening? I'm just
That's
gonna
actually
tell you
that's-
now.
That's actually what Clara did for the Penang, the Ipoh Masters. Fantastic job, Clara. I really respected you guys for doing that. Beautiful.
It was good. I mean, well, I wasn't able to go because it clashed with something else. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Because when we were talking about Masters diving and synchro, they were like, "Oh, we could like have something about that." I mean, even if it, like I said, it doesn't have to be like full competition kind of thing. It's a little fun thing to play with. I mean, it sounds like fun. I'd do it. I choose YC Ken.
Come.
Hide behind you. No, not that. She's more like you will have to hide behind me lah. I'll be like the wall.
Come, let's have fun, okay?
Can. It's great training. I mean, when we were able to play on Saturdays before MCO, when Judith was still around. Yeah, Judith. She moved to Hong Kong, sadly.
Oh.
She was an excellent coach. She was a Hungarian former national player and also a master swimmer. So you see, Joseph, you can do both, ma. And yeah, so she was giving us, I mean, very small, but 5-6 of us at a time. I think Joseph joined us once, and great basics. And it was great to learn some of the other things that we were not necessarily exposed to, like, like you talk about hand-eye coordination, the treading of water and the different drills that you could do and why you do them. And I think it's great. And I use that as part of training sometimes, much to the horror of some of the people because they're like, oh my God, tread water for how long? I say, yes, good for you. Because you never know, in open water, you might have to tread water for that long. How you know? I just throw it in there because it's fun to watch them suffer from time to time.
But actually, all this water polo, it does help out a lot in terms of core.
Yes.
I think core is definitely being focused upon, and like what Han said, the explosive power, especially for sprinters in that case.
Yes.
So it's a win-win situation.
Time as well, right? Yeah, I mean, one of the things is you have to be able to react when, okay, the ball that you have to go backwards and you have that, I don't know how to explain, because obviously I'm going to hit something in a minute, but your reaction time has to be pretty good because you're obviously thinking, right? You have to react to something, or not necessarily react, but you see an opening, you have to take advantage of that, which is something that even swimmers, you talk about regular swimmers or open water swimmers, you need to do that. Your reaction time, you're aware of what's going on. Okay, I need to do this. There's strategy here, and there's something going on, which is all the things that those are skills that you would require too, in obviously different situations. But if you're talking about mental agility, seeing an opening, okay, maybe here everyone's concentrated there. There's an opening here. You got to go there. And the same thing with, I will use open water as my example. Is if you have a pack, when are you gonna, right? You have to think about, when am I gonna draft someone? Well, not too closely. And if there's an opening, I can overtake someone, and you have to use that mental skill, which is the same. In a different situation, but the ability to be able to think quickly, see an opening, and be aware of what's going on. I think that's something that, cross-discipline. You learn something from each discipline in some way or another, I think. So, Joseph, you can still swim masters.
This section is on water polo. It's not about masters swimming.
I will buy you a drink at the end of your 50 meters freestyle, okay? Why not?
Okay, I will consider when Finis will come in and sponsor and organize the first Masters tournament in Malaysia.
Oh wow!
Wow!
Better get that started.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not? I saw the word just now in a different, maybe what you might call a stacks, but Finis Cup, the first Malaysian Masters. Actually, you can't say call first lah, because Ipoh have already done that.
Malaysia Masters is like, you mean water polo Masters?
Yeah. But already Ipoh took that glory of the first water polo Masters already.
Could be a
To be fair to them.
First Finis Cup, Masters
Finis Cup.
Good. First Finis Cup.
Located to your age group, Han.
Yeah, you had Selangor age group. Is it?
Yeah.
Selangor age group invitational thing.
Yeah,
right?
Selangor Invitational.
It could be like Finis Cup.
Yeah.
I have my Finis Cup.
But different liquid, different liquid.
Oh yeah. You're okay. Oh, Finish Malaysia has just responded to your comment, Joseph. If you can make that.
Yes.
Ah, that's awesome. Cap 7 is a partner with Finis, I believe.
American brand.
Because one of the founders of Finis is an ex-water polo player himself, John Mix. So, awesomeness.
Cool.
See, cross-discipline. Cool. So Joseph will be swimming masters in that instance, 50 meters. I'm sure Han will also contribute to the and YC will contribute to buy Joseph a drink after.
Sure, no problem.
provide the oxygen.
Game on, let's go.
Why not? It'll be fun.
Game on, let's
Right?
go. Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it. It's fun. It's exercise. It's fun, and you get to mingle with crazy bunch of people like y'all. Hey, this one life is forever within, the internet. So the challenge is accept. I'm sure there'll be a lot of players out there who will also say, "Yeah, let's see Joseph do the thing." So Thomas, you also must do something, okay? You must do Malaysia Masters. Yeah.
Thomas is a young boy,
Yeah, but he never trained also.
Still young boy, ma. Age can read back on.
Message me later, like, hey, why you say these things?
Yeah.
I know Albert, who is one of the coaches in Penang, did do Masters. Yeah. 50 meter lah, sprint only. Fast, then get your drink in the end.
50 meters like so far away for people who train in 30-meter pool, It's like I never stop on, I don't know how
like,
you.
Men and women's water polo combined distance, 30 and 20,
I can count 30 meters, take 5 breaths reach the other side. But for 50 meters, tak boleh sampai.
You just take a little bit more breath, lah. You just can. No one is saying, you're not swimming the same distances normally I would swim. I didn't ask you to swim that, right?
That's why I have a very high respect for swimmers who are so disciplined to do like 3K minimum as a warm-up. It's like, that's like, oh God, how many laps? 60 laps itself. Oh God.
You don't do it all at once, ma. It's fun. Kopi Masters Cups. Yeah, that kind of Masters Cup. No, I think Joseph likes different kind of liquid beverage within the cup.
I know some of the swimmers who do Masters can actually play as well. Kok Ho actually.
Kok Ho.
And who else? I think quite a fair bit.
Dawson, whose birthday is today. Dawson Key Dawson. I don't know which way around he has it. He played. And it's his birthday today.
Who's Key Dawson again? Sounds familiar.
Selangor, right? Malacca.
No, from Malacca.
Sorry, Dawson. Yes.
Key Dowland, I know. Key Dawson, I do not know.
Well, I didn't know he's Dawson. Kok Ho knows him. So.
Okay. Should be Key Dowland.
Yeah. I already told him about Masters in 2020.
So, like I said, just hold 2 fellas accountable in that case. Then you just can have your Masters competition already. Women are allowed in. You can do a format where basically each team must have a woman there all the time.
Can. I hide behind YC enough.
So you take one team, YC take one team, count him. You see?
Wow. Can. I'll be like, okay, YC, sorry. But I'm okay. It'll be fun. I think it'll be kind of fun. So, Clara, are you paying attention? No pressure, Clara, to do all these things. Little bit only, but it'll be fun. I mean, especially if by the end of the year people want something, it's a fun activity. Yeah, that would work. I'd have to fight Joseph for that one. No.
Okay, I'm definitely coming to watch.
Just to watch,
Yeah, I'm definitely coming to watch. I don't mind coaching as well.
Yay, that'll be fun. I
But
would love
trust
to
me,
do
there are many times where Yee Chuin was tempted to give me a swimsuit to put inside and jump in and play for them.
He asked for it. He asked for it.
We can arrange that for you.
Han, you will have nightmares tonight, right? Can you imagine me in Waterpolo swimsuit?
I think can.
We can get you a nice 2-piece bikini, right?
Bikini is definitely not a Waterpolo swim costume.
Not allowed, right?
Although I wish it was, but then it doesn't work that way.
No. But that'll be kind of fun. So I think we're gonna wind down before we end, I'm just gonna have a quick mention of my sponsors, Swimshop to You, Finis Malaysia, and Real Out Play. You can actually get 10% off retail items on Swimshop to You if you use the discount code Dugongs, because maslah my Dugongs, right? And also, I would like to quickly mention that I'll be having an open water swim clinic in Whale Swimming Academy on the 31st of August. So signups are still possible until the 28th. So if you want to if you're new to learn open water swimming or just want to fine tune your skills, just drop us a message and we can get that going. And also, if you guys want to learn how to play water polo, you can contact any of these guys and we'll definitely be putting links up to the right places that you guys.
Why don't you go and start a team?
I need people lah. People always like look at me going, Alien, you start a team, you start this, you start that. I'm like, everything also I start. Because
we can help you train the coaches. We can help you train the coaches.
Or someone can coach us
lah. Coach already, I heard that. Yeah.
Pardon?
Han volunteered to be the coach already. I heard that.
No, I train the coaches.
Kevin and YC will come and save us one day.
Yep.
I'll come and learn.
They can always do a introduction to water polo clinic thing. That'd be kind of fun.
Yep.
Get some of the Lao Lang to come in. Play. So
politically correct.
Yeah.
Not so young people. Lao Lang.
Yeah. Hello. We call our masters group the Lao Lang, okay? It's okay, one. We embrace the Lao Langness. Thank you to my guests today, Joseph, YC, and Han, for taking out time to answer all your questions and to talk lots and lots with us today. Thank you very much, guys. And that's all, folks. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let us leave.